Buddy cops are a format of storytelling that I adore when handled in live action. If asked what my preferred style of detective series was, I'd honestly go with a good buddy cop. The general idea of a couple of partners solving crime or getting into entertaining hijinks has always amused me. So when I look over anime, I'll admit that it's a tad disappointing by the lack of buddy cops that there are, and the ones that we get typically I kind of found to be a bit of a letdown. And when they aren't, it just honestly feels like the long wait between the next fun series is kind of exhausting. But thankfully, Copcraft delivered, so even if it takes 5 or more years, at least for this one small section of 2019, I thought to myself, hot damn, a buddy cop anime that hits all the notes that I've been looking for, both with the format, but also anime in general. When it comes to these types of stories, all I ask is for you to do two things: make the partners entertaining with decent development, with fun stories that set themselves apart from the last one, and you'll typically have sold me. Copcraft nailed both of these requests, so yeah, I ate this series up twice because once I finished it the first time around, I thought screw it, it has a dub, so why not watch it again? But I will say, I definitely preferred the sub. Copcraft easily stands tall episode by episode thanks to a unique set of characters, Kay and Tiarna, but also the world that they inhabit. Earth eventually had this gateway open up that allowed travel between the human world and another where fairies, elves, basically all form of mythical creatures, live. Over time, the merging of worlds became common practice, but like with all of history, differences in culture bring rise to crime and discrimination, so whether it be on the human side feeling as if humanity's future will be threatened by the creatures, or for the fairies thinking humans are easy prey, crime just evolves with time and detectives have more of a challenge than ever before. As with the city of San Teresa being the main hub for travel between the two worlds, it's a criminal's feast for easy prey and an officer's greatest nightmare. This is where the buddy cop formula really shines, a human cop and a night partner of a race known as the Smarian, which many humans refer to her people as aliens, and with where their adventures can go from there. Both the hilarious, but also the dramatic. The first episode probably does the best possible job at selling what kind of banter and shenanigans these characters will get up to. Now from Tiarna's world, it's far less advanced than say Kay's. Even things such as pictures are a rare item that the wealthy investors will pay top dollar for. Her weapon of choice is a sword that luckily is backed by some magical enhancements, meaning it can at times be better than any gun from the human world. But she's honestly pulled from a medieval time period compared to the modern day Earth. One of the first interactions the two have is her not knowing what parts of a vehicle do, like the emergency brake. So as she pulls it when Kay is driving, it just becomes absolutely hilarious to see the almost disaster that she nearly caused. The overall idea to the human side of this series is to get those around Kay to stop discriminating while also mending his own heart after the loss of his partner for 4 years. Where with her, she must grow accustomed to Earth's culture and it generally provides for hilarious sequences, but also emotionally gripping punches where her feelings are hurt on numerous occasions due to the hostility she faces from the streets to even the police force that she now works for. Each world has their strong opinions on the other, but forcing these two to work together at the start lets each of them see things through the other's perspective, allowing for solid character growth overall. The comedy remains consistent throughout the entire run of the first season, but not always with the main jokes such as cars steering off due to a lack of understanding of human inventions, but the general banter between the partners. Kay has an allergy to cats, but after one of his cases he felt responsibility to this one cat, so he wears a dust mask at home as he waits to find it a proper living arrangement. At one point, Tiarna has to help Kay, and without telling him, she heals his allergy as that's just something her people can do. The thing is, he doesn't know this for over a month. She thinks it's just funny that he keeps wearing a pointless mask, so when he freaks out at the cat being in his bedroom, they have this pretty natural prank scene that just is genuinely funny comedy. Something you could easily see happening to people around you, or at least that's how I felt. With also Kay getting mad on more than one occasion with how little she understands basic human common sense, and the trouble it causes him, making him to lash out by calling her an alien or other names, to which she typically pulls off a pout that only works within anime. Generally, whenever the anime wanted to get at least a chuckle out of me, it did. Some of the best humor is found in those jokes that naturally happens when something unfortunate happens, and if you're not the victim of said disaster, it can be rather funny to you. And if not, depending on others' responses, you just let out a laugh, making the entire situation even more uncomfortable. Kay eventually loses his cars because of his partner's lack of driving capabilities. So when the company buys him a new ride, shortly after, his partner acquires some driving skills, and she gets to put those to the test, but in result damages this new vehicle. Now, seemingly, Kay has grown past pointless anger and figures, well, he can repair it, making everyone think how sweet everything came full circle and developed. But then after that, the car blows up and she says it's more damaged now, but can it be repaired? Now, if anyone was standing next to these two, I figure most would laugh their asses off, just due to the worst timing imaginable, and that's the type of circumstances that follow these two along with each case, and I can't get enough of it. The ignorance to both cultures provides for entertaining but also disturbing scenes revolving around discrimination and how little some people take it within the current social climate. While it can be hilarious to see how outside of Earth and in other worlds, things like images aren't common, so porn, it just isn't a thing. So when some people from her world try to steal porno mags to sell back home to make a killing, she gets an unfortunate wake-up call to the world of naughty pastimes as Kay casually talks about what is extreme or vanilla in the world of erotica with another person. As for our world, we've kind of grown numb to aspects to sex that would have even 30 years ago caused parents to disown you, where with someone like her it's 100 times worse, which is just hilarious. But this ignorance can also lead to some interesting commentary, where you'll have higher-ups within their organization call her all sorts of names that clearly bother her, and all of her responses just seem hollow to them, as she is just some filthy alien, and if she didn't have some of these skills humans don't possess, she'd be tossed to the side. There is this fear that a chunk of humanity has, that the culture that humans have will be trampled all over, and the Samanian people will overtake Earth. We can look at our own history, and even present, to find numerous cases to compare to this. I often find taking real-world issues but applying it with the use to say these people who are labeled as aliens is a great way to take sensitive subject matter, make it easier to digest, as then people won't just bring up questions like, well, why is this even an issue when they're all the same race? Copcraft doesn't make the main focus on the discrimination between the two worlds, but with each case and numerous interactions, it is a common factor which makes the growing bond between the partners all the more meaningful, as having someone like Kay stick up for her really sticks it to the man who continues to bring her down, or when her people try to bring down humanity, can actually take her own experience and showcase why not all humans are horrible. As having the two partners come from completely different worlds and walks of life lets the series bridge the two worlds for the viewer in a way that lets us experience both perspectives without much bias, as both clearly have their pros and cons and not one side is without their sins. Meaning Copcraft wasn't trying to force a message down your throat, but showcase how humanity would most likely evolve if we ever came into contact with aliens or another world. It's just a fun topic to think about and to explore it in such a way where it just comes across as a future not too off from our own, and how extreme magical powers of one world mesh in with the technological advancements of our own. It simply provided for great cases to follow in this buddy cop tale, while at multiple points bringing up subject matter in a straightforward way that makes you think about how, no matter how much time passes, some things will always stay the same, for better and for worse. Buddy cops are a style of series I enjoy, but I can easily grow bored of them should the cases become stale. Often the ones I continue to dig long term are the series that use clever mysteries to get viewers hooked, but I found with Copcraft they had an easier time keeping everyone's interest because crimes bounce between two worlds. You can have this alien world bringing in weapons that could very well shake Earth overall, to simple drug-related crimes, but the blend of humans and what's considered aliens lets the criminal activities really feel refreshing each time. I mean, when you can have juvenile porn-stealing crimes feel important because in another world it will make someone a king, it sort of says it all. The enemy starts off with a drug bust going wrong, and a ferry that they were trying to recover is lost and Kay's partner is killed, which is ultimately why he ends up with Tiana, as she has a personal connection to this ferry and wanted to save her. But the way the crime of another world naturally finds ways to incorporate itself with the human world feels like the typical crime stories we normally see, but spiced up not just with the aesthetic but the core design. Drug-related crimes aren't as simple as they are with our own world, as we know the type of powers her people possess, and the dangers each world could impose on the other. Imagine sending a gang into the other world and them shooting up the high-ranking officials. We know it'd work, as when we see a vampire brought into Earth, she gets mowed down because of humanity's weaponry. But it also goes the same for Earth and the magical dangers that can be thrown into human culture, and the terrorism risk that comes with it. Being smack in the middle of a gateway between worlds, corrupt politician, comrades turning on you because of the fear of the future where humanity isn't the dominating force on Earth. Each arc, whether it be large or small, felt gripping both with the humorous side, but also the dramatic, as the setting is just perfect for this kind of story. Kei starts off with a very hostile attitude towards anyone who isn't human, but because of his results, he works very closely with all walks of life, even if he might complain from time to time. Watching someone like that forced to work with a girl from a race he has no love for, and how she opens his eyes to the idea that maybe his views were skewed because of the type of people that he was dealing with, meaning that maybe not all of them are scumbag criminals. With Tiana realizing that maybe this ape-like culture might not actually be barbarian savages like she first viewed Kei as, due to the kind gestures she sees from him from simple to major actions. The two start off on the worst note, but because results are what matter, the two skills made for the perfect match in terms of partners. So as we watch the series, we recognize that these personalities also actually mesh quite well, as really both needed to see the other's perspective, and whether it was the humorous to the heartwarming, alongside the viewer everyone learns and grows, understanding the complexity to the human race during this time, where a gateway to another world has opened and crime and life in general has gotten a lot more complicated, with tension at an all-time high. The complexity to the world of Copcraft helps for the episodes feeling fresh and exciting, without major dips overall. Only when you have a gate to another world as an all-access pass to jump around realities can you have humans uncover a vampire and make us say, oh yeah, that makes sense in a realistic version of Earth. The way crimes are explored with both sides, even though our primary focus is on the evolving side of humanity, the way the supernatural to realistic blends together lets us get a solid grasp on this other mysterious world and how it's incorporated itself into the Earth we all recognize. How for some it will be an exotic culture many will want to socialize and mingle with, others will fear and discriminate against, with how crimes we all know evolve and become all the more deadly. The core aspect to this show is to be fun and have Kei and Tiana be interesting characters that make us laugh but also feel raw emotions as we see general progression. We learn about this evolving world without needing to reach a certain point. The cases are important, but the most important aspect overall is how we can walk out saying our central duo mattered. They developed, and if we see more cases with them, excellent, but if not, it was an experience worth recommending, which is absolutely what this series is. Copcraft just has a unique style. It's in your face, bold from humor to action, to mature themes at times, with others being juvenile ridiculous. It's all sorts of styles wrapped up into one, which is why I think it's as close to perfect for a buddy cop that I'd want to experience within the medium that is anime. Anytime a series can make me laugh without trying to shove jokes down my throat but rather use genuine comedic timing, will always get my recommendation. But when a series can aim for something unique and stick the landing, I'd be a fool not to sing its praise. Many of us come to media to just have a good time, and Copcraft delivers that experience while also not being a show you have to quote-unquote turn your brain off to enjoy. The central characters do have depth, their history matters as does their future. Their relationship feels wholesome and highlights that not all days will be good, and like with real life, you'll have those bad days. Because of the rawness to the cast, you get this overall bold series that makes you laugh, have your heart racing, watching intense and unique action sequences, blending the modern day and enhanced medieval combat styles meshed into one brilliant package, with a complex political atmosphere that always leaves you wanting more. Now, I'm not here to say Copcraft is a masterpiece, but it's a damn fine anime that every time I finish an episode, I need to watch the next one. And luckily, it's the kind of series that even though it has a strong extending plot, it really is the kind of show you'd be fine with if it only received a season or two, because a strong buddy cop can stand tall by the presence of the characters and what they have already experienced, allowing for the viewer to piece together a future by themselves while feeling satisfied with the outcome overall. Though, if they do continue to make more seasons of Copcraft, I'm not going to be complaining, as honestly this duo is one of the most memorable in recent memory. Now hey, that's just my opinion on Copcraft, but I'd love to hear yours if you have any thoughts on this video or Copcraft down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed my ramblings, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. Lastly, there's my Patreon for those who want to go the extra mile and help support what I do around here even more. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.